And so that's mindset shift number one for our episode today is if we can shift our thinking from doubt is evil or doubt is wrong to doubt is an incredible opportunity for us to explore and go deeper into something, then we're already moving the needle quite a bit for our growth. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Known Disciple Project podcast. I'm your host, Mark Hummel. And on this podcast, we talk about personal growth and spiritual development and the gap that often exists between those two, as we are seriously growth minded Christians, disciples of Jesus. It's super important for us to come together and talk about bridging that gap. That's what we do here. Today's topic is going to be something that all of us struggle with, whether you even realize it or not. This is an incredibly deep theological topic. It's a deep cultural topic. It's even a deep topic from just the perspective of your own reality. And what we're talking about here is the topic of doubt. Now, we all wrestle with doubt about our faith, doubt about what God is doing, doubt about whether we're making the right moves in our life, our faith, our business, our families, our health. The truth is that doubt is treated like this mysterious thing that somehow signals that we're wrong about something or that something is wrong in the world. And that could not be further from the truth. And so today in this episode, we're going to talk all about doubt. By the end of this episode, you're going to be hearing what doubt really is, how it quietly creeps in. It's a sneaky thing, but it sneaks in spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And we're going to talk about why curiosity is better than forced certainty or shame. Curiosity is the opposite of doubt. And we're going to talk about how to use that curiosity to uncover deeper clarity and eliminate stress in your life, in your faith, and even in your business for those of you who are entrepreneurs following this channel. So let's get to it. Today's going to be an awesome topic. Really excited to bring it to you. And before we dive in, so that you don't ever miss an episode, make sure to subscribe to the Known Disciple Project. So, how about you? Have you ever struggled with doubt? I certainly have. I can think of times in my life where I have had doubt in God, doubt that I was saved. I've had tons of doubt as an entrepreneur, as a business coach, as a person who is sort of taking the reins, trying to grow a life. Oh man, that's a recipe for doubt right there. You oftentimes find yourself out on your own and not understanding really what's real, what's not, and you're just kind of struggling to grab as much advice from people as you can, always feeling some level of doubt. Now, in my younger, maybe less mature days, I would have equated doubt with something being wrong with me, or perhaps something being wrong with the world. And so, for example, oftentimes Christians, when they doubt, that might lead them down a path of wondering whether or not God is real. Entrepreneurs, if they're struggling with doubt in their business, oftentimes what it leads to is, did I ever really actually want to grow this business? Maybe in your personal growth or in your spiritual journey, you've had doubt. And it leads to all sorts of questions. And typically, if we don't address the doubt, it will grow into skepticism and it will take us down a very negative path that then we have to work our way back from. So we can eliminate all of that by looking at one model that pops out right out of scripture. So we're talking about John, and this is in John chapter 20. I'm just going to summarize this briefly. And this is what most people know as the doubting Thomas story. So Jesus has been crucified. He's appeared to some of the apostles, but Thomas, for some reason, was not with the apostles, the disciples, that is, when Jesus appeared to them. And so he actually was off doing something else. We don't really have a clear picture of what that was, but point being, he wasn't with his tribe. He wasn't with his people. And so somehow, him being off on his own, some doubt crept in, so that when he rejoined the group of disciples, he actually did not believe their account that Jesus had come back. He told them, I don't believe it. And so, again, I'm summarizing this. Read the story if you want it to be exact. But he said, I'm not going to believe it unless I can put my hands where the nails were. Okay. So he had a high level of doubt here, right? And what happened? If it would have stayed right there, then he would have struggled with this doubt for the rest of his life. But thankfully, Jesus appeared to the disciples again and he said, Thomas, I got you. He didn't say, hey, Thomas, you're wrong. You're no longer in the in crowd for your having doubt. Instead, what he said is, I got you. If you need to put your hands where the nails were, here are my hands. If you need to have proof, here's the best that I'm willing to give you right now of proof. There's going to have to be some faith and understanding, but I got you. And that's such a big deal because what Jesus could have said is, you can go ahead and exit the room because you doubt, but he didn't. He gave us a model for how to handle doubt in our lives. And that's what we're going to be centering in on here in just a moment. But the model, just to give you the end right at the front here, is that we need to explore doubt. We need to take it to the Lord when we do have doubts about our faith or even about different strategies we're using in our life. Incredibly important that we start by looking at the Lord. And He's always going to give us an opportunity to do that. He's never going to wag his finger at us and say, get away from me because you doubt. Okay. Hopefully, we've made that point strong enough. So, what we're going to talk about next is the three big ideas for today, starting with what doubt actually is. And so, the definition of doubt can probably take many forms. But for me, what I want to establish on this episode is that doubt really is just a lack of certainty. You're not sure. And because you're not sure, you don't feel confident in whatever it is you're trying to understand. Maybe it's a question you don't know how to answer from scripture, or maybe it's some path forward in your personal journey or your work journey or your entrepreneurship, whatever it is. Doubt we can center on as lack of certainty. You're not sure. You just don't know what's going on. What doubt is not is evil. Doubt is sneaky. It'll creep in different places, but it's not evil all by itself. It's actually just the opposite. It's an incredible opportunity for us to explore where we might have a gap or a weakness in our thinking or our understanding. And so that's mindset shift number one for our episode today is if we can shift our thinking from doubt is evil or doubt is wrong to doubt is an incredible opportunity for us to explore and go deeper into something, then we're already moving the needle quite a bit for our growth, which is super important as growth minded Christians, right? So, doubt thrives in silence and it thrives in avoidance. It grows when we pretend that we don't feel it. Man, that's good. So, we got to just say that one more time. Doubt thrives in silence and it thrives in avoidance and it grows when we pretend that we don't feel it. Have you ever been in a setting where you doubted the plan? Or maybe you've gone to church and you doubted something from the sermon. Uh, it's very tempting to just pretend like, no, I'm not doubting. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm with everybody who seems to just somehow agree with this. We cannot do that. We have to acknowledge doubt and explore it. Often, doubt is not just about God, but it can pop itself up in all kinds of places in our life. And I believe we can acknowledge that as well, that if doubt is a lack of certainty, we're just not sure, and that lack of certainty comes from avoidance or silence, then we can start to unpack this model that having less doubt is going to be about speaking or seeking. Seek first the kingdom, as an example. It's going to be about the opposite of avoidance. So it's going to be about purposeful exposure. All right. So you can't kill doubt by ignoring it. You kill doubt by examining it and exposing it. Okay. So James 1:6. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. Isn't that such a good visual for what it's like to have chaos in our mind? if we were just standing in some violent waves trying to do our best to just go a direction, and all these things are hitting us, the waves are crashing, the wind is blowing, and it just feels like chaos, and oh my gosh, we might even die in this, it's super violent. James 1:6 is saying, when you ask, that's point number one, you've got to ask. Scripture tells us to go to the Lord and ask for wisdom. Then it says you must believe and not doubt. This is not magic. We don't just go to the Lord and then all of a sudden we believe. We've got to work out these doubts. And so it starts with a choice. And it might sound something like this: I don't understand everything. I don't understand everything about this plan, about this strategy, about this scripture, about salvation, about whatever it is that's causing doubts in my mind, about this relationship, whatever it is. But I'm going to choose to be okay with the parts I don't know and explore the parts that I can. It starts with a choice. All right. So, point number one, just to reiterate, is that doubt is not evil. Doubt is actually an incredible opportunity to go deeper and explore where we might have a gap in our thinking, or we might have an opportunity to go deeper into something with better understanding. And so, how do we do that? This is actually really cool. So we do it by leaning into point number two for today, which is that curiosity is the opposite of doubt. Now, this might be a little bit of a mindset shift as well, because a lot of people would say that certainty is the opposite of doubt. And while I'm not making an argument for that being false, what I am going to say is that if we're defining doubt as silence and avoidance, hiding from the things that we're not really sure about, then curiosity is the opposite of that. It's asking questions, it's seeking the truth, it's surrounding yourself with people who might be able to help you. So, curiosity is such an incredible tool for just the way our mind works in general for our growth, but it is an incredible tool for doubt specifically. And so people will tell you that if you have doubt, you need to get more certain, but curiosity is going to be how we do that. Okay. So this is going to be right off the heels of Proverbs 25:2, which says that it is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but to search out a matter is the glory of kings. And so you can actually interpret that verse a number of ways, but what we're going to use it for is just a springboard into this idea of curiosity. To search out a matter is the glory of kings, to be curious. Okay. All right. So curiosity honors the mystery around doubt. And while doubt gets us stuck in fear, we don't want to do that. And so we are all agreeing here that if we see doubt in our life, whether it's in faith, life, business, health, wherever it is, we're doubting something, we're going to get curious. We're going to look it right in the eye. We're going to start asking great questions, which leads us to point number three for today, that asking better questions is how we eliminate doubt. I love this quote. I don't know where it came from at this point, but I love it and I use it often. It is that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask. And so if you want to improve your life, you've got to ask better questions. If you want to eliminate doubt, you've got to ask better questions. Again, curiosity is what we're going with here. So there's a couple of principles to layer in. One is that curiosity activates questions that lead to discovery rather than discouragement. And so if we're coming from a place of just being defeated, I just don't know, I don't understand, then typically we're going to lean into that. And we're going to seek information that would cause us to not understand even more. If we're coming from a place of curiosity and asking great questions, then what it's going to do is it's going to activate in our mind this exploration. And it's going to cause us to want to learn things. It's going to point us a direction. It's going to give us something to focus on other than the gap. And before you know it, you'll start to emerge with more information, a bit more clarity. So, what does a really good question look like? And how can we use them to start to eliminate doubt in our life? Well, one of the best questions to start with is, why am I feeling doubt? I know that sounds really broad and it might even be too easy, but go ahead and give it a try. Try to answer that. So, whatever the scenario is, just start with, why am I feeling doubt? And then answer honestly. As your answers emerge, I want to encourage you to go deeper into your responses. And so another question might be, what does this doubt reveal about what I believe about God? What's another way to look at this? What if this tension is an invitation to trust more deeply? You can actually go really wide with these types of questions, but there's a couple of principles here that we can leverage when you're crafting great questions meant for growth. These are called generative questions, and they're always open ended, meaning they're not a yes, no, or a single word response kind of question. They cause you to have to process your way to the answer or maybe even do some research. So they are generative, they're open ended, and they're meant to lead to the next question, not necessarily to the next statement. Okay, so no dead ends here. We want the growth to continue, the learning to keep going. Very important that we practice asking great questions. We get better at it. It's actually a skill you can develop over time. And so, what I would encourage you to do so that I can keep this podcast episode relatively short is use Chat GPT or Google or whatever you use to search or create things these days and do a little research on what great questions look like. Maybe just Google or put a prompt in your Chat GPT and say, give me some examples of really great generative questions that help me eliminate doubt. And you can come up with your own, so long as they're open ended and they're meant to lead to more questions so that you can keep exploring. All right. Matthew 7:7 says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. This is not talking about wealth and riches and fame and all of the things that we want from a worldly perspective. This is talking about wisdom from the Lord. Now, that can apply to a lot of things in our life, but when we want to stop fearing or doubting, we need to look at the Lord. Our curiosity should always point us back to him, just like Thomas in that scenario. He could have stayed hidden, stayed silent, avoided his group, but he went back and he surrounded himself with like minded people. When Jesus came, he said, Jesus, here I am. Jesus said, I got you. And we already talked about how that went. If you take nothing else away from this podcast, take that curiosity is the product of avoidance. Excuse me, doubt is the product of avoidance and silence. Curiosity is the opposite of that, which is seeking and being seen. We want to expose doubt. We want to explore doubt with curiosity and great questions. That is how we eliminate doubt, one step at a time as we explore and learn. So, a practical exercise for you: write down one area in your life where you are experiencing doubt, whether it's spiritual, relational, or work, or whatever it is for you. You get to decide. Now, write out 3 generative, open ended questions that will help you explore that doubt. Maybe start broad with, why am I experiencing doubt? And if you want to apply a test that I love, you could apply what's called the 5 whys test as well. Why are you experiencing doubt? Here's my response. Why is that important? Oh, here's my response. Why is that important? Oh, here's my response. You'd actually do that 5 times. It takes you incredibly deep into one question. And then finally, choose one of those questions to bring into your prayer time this week. As always, take your cares, concerns, even your doubts to the Lord in prayer and just sit with it. Tell God about it and ask for clarity and wisdom. This is the way. If this podcast was helpful to you, I'd be honored if you would share it with your friends, help us grow the podcast, and spread spiritual development and personal growth to more disciples of Jesus. Until next week, be known.